Hey y'all, welcome to the Morning Cafe's Grieve Out Loud, damn it. This is a space where healing isn't hidden and emotions are honored. I'm your host, Coach Tam, and I'm here with you so you don't have to grieve in silence. Whether you're mourning a person, a dream, a vision of yourself, or simply learning to breathe again after life's hardest hits, this sacred space is for you. This isn't just another podcast. It's a movement, it's a moment, and it's a mirror. And it's just going to be a reminder that you're not broken, you're becoming. So grab a cup of warmth and breathe and come as you are. Because we are here to grieve out loud, damn it, to heal out loud. So stay tuned. Hey y'all, I'm Coach Tam. I hope you guys are doing amazing out there. Welcome to the Morning Cafe, where healing meets hope and every story is sacred. I'm a grief and life transition coach, and today's conversation, we're sitting down with a courageous soul and someone who is near and dear to my heart, who has walked through loss and is choosing to live again, and one moment at a time. Grief can be very heavy, y'all. And so it's unpredictable, it's deeply personal, but it doesn't have to be lonely, right? And so this space is to remind us that healing is possible and that joy can coexist with sorrow, and your story matters. So grab a cup of warm comfort and let's listen in and let's honor someone else's journey through grief. Welcome, Miss Joanna. Thank you for joining us. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a 20 plus year old mother of two, grandmother of three. I live in Western Washington. I'm a dog lover, a craft queen. I work for Washington State Medicaid, where I transform people's lives, hopefully, through healthcare, and I'm happy to be here.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for being here. So we have a few interview questions for Miss Joanna, and so we'll just jump right in. Can you take us back to the moment your life changed when grief first entered your story?
I like that question, and I don't think there's one moment. I think I was adopted when I was born. As you know, this is my best friend of 30 plus years. And I think my life started with grief. You know, there's a grief of not being connected. There's a grief of I'm different. I think a lot of us go through life with little griefs that we don't even realize we're carrying, griefs that add up. I think a big recent grief I had was the loss of my sister-in-law. My brother and her had been married for 18 years, or together 18 years. Married 16, and she died suddenly and unexpectedly and left behind my brother and two young children. In a time where I was going through a recovery from a really hard surgery and grieving the loss of my body and my independence, and then to go be a part of that grief story was really significant and impactful time in my life.
Thank you for sharing that. As huge boulders, so thank you. Another question for you. What emotions or challenges surprised you the most during your grief journey?
I think the ones that surprised me the most was my lack of acceptance. And I'm a pretty accepting person. I'm pretty open as people know me. I can get to acceptance pretty quick. Things are the way they are. They're supposed to be the way they are. There's lessons there, and the journey of this life is interesting and ever changing. So I accept things pretty quickly. But for my brother's sake and my niece and nephew, I just kept thinking, she's not supposed to be gone. Like, I know intellectually she's gone. We did all the things. We had the funeral. We, did our grief time together. I lived with them for a little over a month at that time. And so I knew I lived in that house where she wasn't. But she wasn't supposed to be gone. That just kept coming up for me. She's not supposed to be gone. She was completely healthy, and this was completely unexpected. And I kept going, this is interesting. I have not had an experience where I can't accept something. Like intellectually, I'm trying to accept it, and I'm not, because those kids weren't supposed to be without that wonderful mother that they had. My brother was not supposed to be without his best friend. She was a part of our family. She was my sister, and it just took me a really long time. And I just did not expect that. I didn't, the sadness I expected, the grief waves I expected, the needing to isolate sometimes I expected, the anger, all those things you read about. And I know acceptance is one of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's steps. And I was like, okay, it's time to do that step. And grief isn't like that. I didn't get to intellectually decide to do that step.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that as well, because overall, I really think that I love Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's analogy of the 5 grieving steps, but I also think that it's not linear. It's all over the place, and there's other emotions that are attached to it. So let's accept this story that I'm so grateful to hear, but also it's hard to hear. Another question for you. Who or what helped you feel most supported, even in the smallest way?
I think me and my brother we've always been really close. We've always been really good friends. We're a year and a half apart. So just by age and stage, we were kind of close, as you well know. But we really stuck together in that, and we were really raw, and all feelings were okay between all of us, the 4 of us, his kids and me and him. And his willingness to share his just very deep, raw sadness of how his life got uprooted. My brother's a professional. He planned out his career. He planned out his education. He followed through with his plan. And they did it well. They did it immaculately together. And then this happens. And so to just lean into, the purpose of life and the purpose of death and the purpose of a higher power and lessons that we don't know why we're getting them. And, he really opened up and was raw, and it made it safe for the kids to do that, and it made it safe for me to do that, and we kept her alive. He was very, very good about keeping her present and keeping her alive, and she still is. 3 years later, like, to go to be close to her, I just go to that house, and she's very much there. But all the different things that would just come up that neither one of us expected, we would call each other and talk about her. I had a dream about Melissa, or I heard a song and I felt her with me, or I had a thought about my kids today, and my kids are grown and they got their mom, and I got mad because my niece doesn't get her mom, and it made me really sad for her. And we would just call or text each other all the time with those things, and we just kept sharing our journeys in our separate places together, and then being there to hold space for each other. When he was going through whatever he was going through, he was getting introduced to, we call them widudes, men that are widowed. He started referring to himself as a widude.
I love that.
And he started going on dates with other widudes. And so he'd call and tell me about their story, and tell me about, compare it to his story, and then try not to compare it, and be thankful. Some stories were like long, hard illnesses, and to be thankful that we didn't have that, or some people had harder marriages and weren't friends. And, be grateful and thankful that wasn't how things got left when it was time for Melissa to go. And so, it wasn't one thing. It wasn't, like you're saying, grief isn't linear, and it was not one thing. It was many things. And it still is. 3 years later, it still feels new. And it feels like we've been doing this for a long time, because we did it multiple times a day, for the past 3 years sometimes. So, I think just being really open and honest and raw was really the core of kind of all of what I'm surmising here is that the transparency, the honesty, and the vulnerability that we were sharing with each other.
And I think that's a key word of vulnerability, of sharing with everyone and sharing that openness and getting to the point where it's like I need to share this, I need to talk about it and not to stuff it down because trash can theory is real and a lot of people do it and it's just not healthy. So thank you for that. Another question, was there a turning point where healing began to feel possible? Maybe even joyful?
I think we always knew it was coming. We knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know when. I mean, my brother and I believe that. My family believes that. My family comes from, death is very accepted and very welcomed in my family. She knows this. It's not typical in our society, but it's a comfortable subject. And so it wasn't as big and scary as I think it is for a lot of people who aren't allowed to talk about it, who aren't taught to talk about it. And so we knew that it was coming. We knew we didn't get to know the timeline, but we knew that it was coming. And, I say it's like when you first move in with a roommate for the first time and they seem loud and they seem messy and they have different hours and they're just always there and they're always in your way. And it's partly you and it's partly them. And as time goes by, you're like, oh, I don't know this roommate as much. Oh, they're not as messy. Oh, they barely come out of the room. Oh, I barely see them. It felt like that, where it was just like somebody's constantly on your nerves and constantly just getting you, heightened emotions, heightened physical senses, heart beating, hands sweating, tears, tight eyes, angry, all those things would just come up randomly. And now it's like, oh yeah, there's a roommate in the back over there that's always going to live here. Like the roommate's never moving out. My capacity to accept that the roommate's with me forever and that, the beautiful lesson of Melissa's life and then Melissa's passing and then the gift she gave us to come together. We knew the healing was going to come and we knew that we weren't always going to feel so underwater. It was just reminding ourselves of that, like this part doesn't last forever. Nothing lasts forever. You hear that all the time. Nothing good lasts forever. Nothing bad lasts forever. And so, along with my surgery, which was right around the same time, I was always just like, what's one little thing, that I want to look forward to? I went and saw my niece and nephew every 3 months for several years. I made it a point to fly there and be with the three of them every 3 months like clockwork, because being close made us feel better and being connected made us feel better. So time, I know everybody says that, all the books say that, and it just, when you're in it, it's just like, shut up, fuck time. I'm hurting. This hurts too much. It's not fair. It's stupid. But it really, this part's not gonna last forever. And it didn't. I'm so happy to have had Melissa in those lessons. And I miss her terribly, but this was exactly where I was supposed to be, where her kids were supposed to be, as awful as that feels a lot of the time. Where my brother was supposed to be in his journey.
Right. Oh gosh, that's so powerful. And just to think of, how you think of the ebb and flow of life and how it goes over you and it just takes over you. But you also know, like with time, it doesn't go away, right? And so when we learn to love differently, and that's what it really is, it's loving Melissa differently. And last question, if someone was watching this and feels like they're never going to be okay again, what would you say to them from your heart?
You choose. You get to choose. If you don't ever want to be okay again, you don't have to be. And if you want to be, you can be. You just get to choose. You literally get to choose. And that doesn't mean you get to choose if today's a hard day. Sometimes that happens upon you. But the state of being okay, the state of deciding, am I going to, this is going to be the thing that sets me back and I don't want to get up from. That's not a judgment. You just, for me, you just get to choose that. If that's what you want your story to be because you love this person and that's how you feel like you honor them, carry your journey through. If you want to find ways to practice gratitude and to practice looking forward and to set, stretch goals. And you can do that, and you can choose to one day be able to live with that roommate a little more cohesively and quietly. And it really is choice, and it doesn't always feel like choice, especially when there's so many other things overwhelming you. And in those moments, I would just practice. I would start listing, can I say one thing I'm grateful for? Not around necessarily Melissa's death. Just what am I grateful for? Well, I'm grateful that I have a family. I'm grateful. And then a second thing will come. And then a third thing will come. I'm grateful that I had a sister to miss. Not everybody loves their sister-in-law. Not everybody has a great time with their family. I have a great family. I have a sister-in-law that was so wonderful that she's worth missing. I love her kids. She gave me the most beautiful. The list. See, I can keep going. Because if you pick one thing, you can go down the list. When I had my surgery, it was like, I'm glad I had good insurance. I'm glad I had a good doctor. I'm glad I had a family to take it. Like, that kept going, and I wasn't glad about the pain or the recovery that was hard. But when you can find something to be grateful for, you can change your mindset if you choose to.
And that's so powerful as well, to say your mindset is exactly what things that will either deter you or push you. And so with the growth mindset, is to say, hey, I choose to look at things that I am grateful for. Yes, this sucks. This is not okay, but I am choosing to look at life as, man, this is awesome, but also, man, this is hard. And these ebb and flows, and you can go in and out of grief all day long, but you do choose. So thank you for that. Well, I'm so grateful for Miss Joanna to be here and interview with us. And so I hope you guys got the same as well. And so the Morning Cafe is witnessing such a tender and brave story of grief, resilience, and new beginnings. If today's conversation touched your heart, just please share this with someone who may need to hear this, and know that they're not alone. And if you're navigating through this, or if you're not sure of what is going on through your grief season, I invite you to be a part of the Morning Tribe. You can look us up at the Morning Cafe. Our community is healing and hope. And so just remember that your grief is valid, your healing is sacred, and you don't have to do it alone. And also, I always want to tell you guys, grieve out loud, because we are healing out loud. Until next time, you guys, just make sure that you are taking care of yourselves and being gentle and kind. You guys take care out there. Sending love and light. Hey, y'all. Thank you for showing up today. I hope you enjoyed it. Whether you laughed, cried, sat in silence, or found a bit of peace, you did something powerful. You allowed yourself to feel. Congratulations. At the Morning Cafe, we believe healing isn't linear, and you don't have to walk it alone. So if today's episode moves something in you, share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe, leave us a review, and join our healing tribe at www.morningcafe.com. Hey, do you need more support? Our virtual and in-person coaching and support groups are just a breath away. Until next time, take gentle care of yourself, be soft with your heart, and remember, it's okay to grieve out loud, damn it. Sending you love and light.